It's the loveliest elevator music to just bring you in and help set the vibe. You know, it's like the spa music of podcasts.
Hey, I like elevator music.
Yeah, after like 200 episodes or so, however many we're at, 206, I haven't gotten tired of it yet.
Well, granted, we've had some variations in our musical choices since we started. So just give it some time, Grant. You'll get there.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm so happy to have. I think Marcus, you may be our most recurring guest. I think this is the third time, fourth time.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I did it. Do I get like a plaque or something?
At
Yeah.
the
What do I
baker's
get?
Yeah, you
dozen.
do.
Once we're at a baker's dozen, you get the plaque. And so we still got a little ways to go.
Okay.
You're well on your way.
That's
9
13,
more.
right? 13 is Baker's
Is a
dozen.
baker's dozen 12? What is a baker's dozen?
I think
What
it's
does that mean?
13. I think you get the extra bagel or
They're bad at
scone or
math.
whatever it is.
It's well
Yes.
known that they're very poor
Really?
at math. And
This
so
is why
they-
bakeries are never profitable. It's the baker's dozen.
It's good to know that the third time on the podcast is starting the way we left off the other two of just
That's
complete rambling about
Yeah.
something
Oh, I thought you were
unrelated.
going to say with full depth, you know?
Right.
We're going deep on this one right
That
off
is,
the top.
sorry, that's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very poetic, and I think Marcus is also maybe responsible for one of our highest, most viewed podcasts of all time, which was about sweetened tuning, and maybe there will be some overlap here depending on what sort of what Blink 182's where they align with sweetened tuning. We don't know. We'll find out as we get into it. But I really appreciate you being here, Marcus. And for those who don't know Marcus, he is a guitar tech to the stars and is often traveling the world with some of the most esteemed bands whom you might have heard of. And Blink 182 is just one of several of the sort of upper echelon of musical groups and artists that he's worked with. And so we're happy to have him, and I feel like every time we get to talk to you, Marcus, I learn a little something new or a consideration that I hadn't thought of before, which often leads to a better result, I have to say, since our last podcast where you sort of talked about tuning to the method of the song, whether that's sort of finger style or picked or where it's picked. It definitely made me more deliberate in any of my recording endeavors to make sure that I was addressing the tuning based on those things. So I appreciate
Nice.
you're being really fastidious about all those things, and clearly your clients appreciate that as well. So thank you.
I'm proud of you. That's great news. Just when you couldn't get any better, Mason, you just got better. It really works. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more today, but yeah, it actually is so helpful when you're recording. We have Mick Fleetwood's in our studio in LA at the moment, and they're recording guitars the other day, and we went through I literally said you should listen to this podcast episode because we were talking about, when Carl Falk, the engineer, was recording, we were talking about two different players and how we were hearing the slight, tuning phase, basically. So went through the whole thing of like, what are you trying to play? How are you playing it? And how do we tune the guitar for it? So I pointed them back to this exact podcast.
Wow. Well, if Mick Fleetwood listened to it, I'll feel like we did something serious. But nevertheless, I'm happy to have you, and I'm really excited to sort of talk to you about what you're up to now. And then maybe we can get into some of the weeds about, some of the guitar related stuff that is maybe part of the Blink 182 rig to the degree that you can share it, and sometimes these are secret things depending on the band that you're working for. But I'd love to get into that. And then maybe kind of as sort of an aspirational goal is kind of what are things that the everyday guitar player can sort of glean from things that you do in your work that they can then apply to their own rigs, their own approach to their instruments, live performances, because there are things that I think translate universally, whether you're playing in an arena or whether you're playing at a bar, and things that you can do to sort of stack the deck in your favor and get the best possible outcome for the show. So, I think
sounds great.
Wherever we want to start, Brian, Grant, anything you want to sort of front load before we get into it?
Well, I mean, on the Blink 182 front, I'm I mean, to give the tiniest bit of backstory, if people have not heard the Sweet and Tuning episode or the episode before that, um, when we initially had you on, the roster of people that you had worked with on tours and all of this, getting ready for tours, it was very impressive. And now you're even further along, and you have a whole bunch of people that you've worked with since then that are new, and we'd obviously love to chat about. But I'm just curious, as a guitar tech and everything that comes along with that, how did it feel to go from working with some great people in the industry, and then what can you talk to us a little bit about what it was like to get on the tour with Blink? Is that at this point exciting for you, or is it like, oh yeah, Blink's the next artist I'll go work for? And then how did that even happen? Like a little bit of a behind the curtain, if you will, of getting a call, a text, or whatever, and then a few months later potentially you're on the road.
Yeah, it was actually crazy exciting. I think guitar taking for me, like obviously it's an income and it's a job and I love doing it, but also like it really for me ultimately is this like series of goals that like if you can tick one off at a time, whether it be like last time I spoke to you guys, I think I was doing Bryan Adams, and for me Bryan Adams was a big one. Fleetwood Mac was a big one. They're like artists that I grew up with. So when you get that call or you get that email, you're like, holy shit, like that's, I'm gonna be working on the stage when we play Summer of '69 or whatever that song is. So for Blink, it was another one of those big like milestone ones for me because like I got into music in punk and pop punk and hardcore, and Blink 182 was a huge influence, as probably a lot of people listening had the same experience. And Tom's playing like I still can think of a million Blink 182 songs that totally changed the way I play guitar or the way I think of chords. And like, I've always been a guitar player that favored simplicity. I'm not a shredder at all, and I think I've said that on here before. And I love like the melodic chord thing and finding like ways to play different chords. And I think that Tom is one of the most underrated guitar players in the world. I think that like we have this perception that, Tom's just like a fart joke, wasted kind of guitar punk kid. But when you sit in rehearsals with him, he's actually really intentional and clever the way he plays things and the way he structures chords and stuff. So for me to go to Travis's house and sit there with those three guys and nerd out and listen to Dude Ranch or whatever, I was, yeah, beside myself. I thought it was really cool.
That's so
I'm not too cool to say that.
No, that's awesome. And what's the process like? Because again, sorry to give backstory a little bit again, from the previous episodes, you are a huge preparation guy. Like when you go into a tour, and correct me if I'm making assumptions on any of this or misspeaking, but to summarize previous episodes, you know the redundancies. Everything's labeled. If something goes down, you have a plan for it at any point in the rig. You know the signal chain. You have booklets of like, this is how the signal chain is mapped out, and the pet, like you prepare for these tours like crazy. But then going into a rig with a new band, you at some point you have no idea what their rig is like, and you have to go from that ignorance, let's say, to put it bluntly, to being an expert, and you have to fill that gap of knowledge. And what was that like for going on the road with Blink? And is the rig, were they quite complex, again, to the amount that you can speak on it, but was it difficult to learn the rigs?
No,
Was it every person on stage or just one person? Were you kind of over all of it? All that stuff.
I just did Tom DeLonge, so just did guitars. Diaz does my Hoppus, he's incredible. So it was just Tom focused, and every gig is what you get it from the tech as. So I was lucky in the sense of Blink. I was coming in to cover Justin, who a lot of people call Jesus, who's tech for Tom on that whole kind of last international tour, who's amazing. He went on to Nine Inch Nails. The timing just didn't work out and he had to go out. And so I got the call directly from him. That's just a relationship. He was a buddy. I think we had followed each other a bunch, possibly from even this podcast. At some point, we'd heard each other, made the connection. There's not a lot of touring guitar techs, so you tend to become friends with them all pretty quick. And yeah, I got the call directly from him, and his handover was incredible. We went down to the Blink-182 storage locker one day in LA. We set up the rig. We kind of went through all those things you mentioned, went through redundancies and how he's doing this, how he's doing that. Like no matter, how well built a rig is, there's always those weird artist intricacies that like, no tech could change. And Tom has some of them. Tom has a pedal board. It looks kind of like a Kemper controller, basically, that the guys on Blink made that control his monitors. It basically sends a MIDI code so he can go 5 dB up or 5 dB down. He can ask for specific things in his monitor mix to go up or down without stopping to play guitar. He just can control it himself. So like, that's part of his rig. It's confusing as hell. If I had a rocked up on day one, I would have been like, why is this fake Kemper switcher here saying, this up? So yeah, so Justin's amazing. He's such a good tech. He's so thorough. He's definitely learned from the best, and he is so skilled. So the handover was amazing. Totally cool. Tom's playing like a pretty, somewhat standard. I mean, you guys probably could tell me better than I can say, but somewhat standard fractal rig. Now, a main, a redundancy, a radial switcher, wireless. Like, you see the same kind of elements now in some degree over and over, I think.
I think I just put a picture of what I think is the most recent version that was posted by Fractal. So maybe this is it, or you can confirm.
That is it.
Brian can throw it up on screen if
yeah, and Justin built that rig, I think in 2025 or 2024 when they were about to start that whole international tour. So it wasn't like, when we did Keith Scott and Brian and I rebuilding a rig from 1984. It's like, this is all modern stuff. It's all pretty straightforward. There's a Furman UPS power supply there. There's a battery charger for the wireless units. There's a Neve preamp there, which Charlie, the front of house guy, is a Neve kind of artist, and he was toying with just having, even though having digital signals, being able to put a Neve preamp on them just to give them a little bit extra tone. There's a MIDI interface there, and then the radial foot switches you see there on like a 45-degree angle are just input select and output select. So, when you're switching guitars, you hit 1, 2, 3, or 4. But yeah, it's all pretty straightforward. Nothing that would blow anyone's minds at all.
I'll put this in the live chat if you're with us on YouTube. It's just a link to a Reddit post.
Yeah, and I think Brian's got it here, so we can blow it up.
Oh, there we go.
See it on screen real big.
Trying to get it.
Nice.
Bring it in even more so we can see it closer.
I mean, I look at a rig like this, and I mean, I'm not any master of building racks at all, but I just look at this and I'm thinking, man, to think of all the things I need to be prepared for on tour, assuming that the worst is going to happen, it looks a little intimidating. And were you already quite familiar with Fractal going into this tour to the point where it wasn't learning a whole new system, or did you have to kind of get pretty familiar with them for
Brian
this?
Brian Adams probably helped with that.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say that, Mason. Yeah, Keith Scott uses a Fractal, so I was pretty familiar. Sorry, I keep hitting my camera. Pretty familiar. I mean, like I said, I think that now, to be a good guitar tech in this day and age, you have to be somewhat proficient in a Kemper, a Fractal, and probably a Neural. Like I think straight off the bat, those three, if you understand those components, then, the Fender rigs and some of the kind of more obscure, what's the Chicago brand I can't think of? We used them on Kendrick Lamar. Head Rush, like similar kind of concepts where it's like drag and drop to build tones and stuff. I think once you have an understanding of the main three, you're pretty okay. Tom's is really simple, as you probably guess. I think that Blink-182 is not a complex band. Like I think back in the day, he played like a Mesa Boogie triple rec or something in a Marshall cab.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because he seemed like he was either a dual or a triple rec guy.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. He's always been like he had a Strat and a triple rec and a Marshall cab, and it was turned up to 10 with no pedals, basically.
Crazy.
I think Justin had worked with him. Like there was definitely some sounds from the record that they had put into there that were built into the MIDI switching from playback, which is cool. So like some of the delays that previously hadn't been in the live guitar sounds were added in 2025, and they're all automatic. They turn on and off, and they sound great. But yeah, it wasn't a complex rig at all. It was just rock solid, really well built. And if it ain't broke, then you don't need to go looking to fix it, you know?
I got a close up too if we want to see a little bit closer. It's not, you know.
Sure, show us, Brian.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, can you stretch that one,
Let me
Brian,
stretch
to full screen? Or I think if you make it full screen, it will just overtake the main image.
There we go.
There we
Yeah,
go.
you might have to stretch it out. I don't know.
Fractals on the bottom left. Is that a radial backtrack below the radial switchers?
Where are you looking on the right-hand
The
side?
blue.
Oh,
the
yeah,
blue,
on the left. Yeah.
So
Like a
that's switching
reamp
between
or-
the no, that's probably switching between the fractals, right? A and
Okay,
B.
yeah.
Exactly. It's the A/B
Redundancies.
switch. Yep. And then the radial inputs as a main are redundant there. The SW switches, and then the wireless above that, a power, Furman power supply above that, and then yeah, the right side's kind of a bit more utility and
See,
less
like a,
amp.
like a Mio, like it's like a Mio, whatever MIDI. It's probably like a MIDI split interface type of thing to do.
Yeah, that's so we can receive MIDI signal in. So like, you know, if the band are playing on click track, which they do, Travis does, we can write in program changes. So, you know, when we were in rehearsal, we went back and played a lot of the songs that were from Dude Ranch for this particular kind of 6 months of shows. And a lot of them, you know, hadn't had tracks built basically. So we sat in there with a metronome and, you know, I would play along and Sam, the playback guy, would sit and would write out the entire timing that Travis wanted. So the count in and then the type of metronome sound. And then from there, we can build out the song. Go verse starts here, chorus starts here. Do we want to change anything? You know, does Tom's guitar sound go clean? So he can manually override on the ground with the foot pedal. Or he can basically play along and it will switch to the major switches.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
But yeah, it's all really straightforward. You know, you guys should interview Justin at some point because he built the rig and he's amazing. But he did a really clever thing because Tom does a lot of pick slides. And one thing that I thought was genius was that on every single song, there is a patch that is basically the X patch, like the pick slide patch. So it overrides to the highest possible gain sound. Because
Just
I
for
think,
like a beat or a couple beats.
yeah,
and that's
exactly.
it.
Because,
Yeah.
you know, if you think about it, and I'd never thought about it until Justin explained it to me, you know, if you, in punk, you kind of like pick slide into a chorus or something, if the timing of that program change is coming, you know, from playback, if the timing of it isn't right, you kind of pick sliding, it goes clean halfway through, or vice versa, it starts clean and it goes gain halfway through. So Justin and Tom had written this in to kind of basically override, and then when you take your foot off it, it instantly goes back to whatever the
So it's
program
just a
changes.
it's a momentary switch it's set up.
Exactly.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really clever. I'd never ever considered that would be an issue. But yeah, it came up a few times and Justin kind of sat and nutted out a way to do it. It was really clever.
Oh, that's
Justin.
smart. So
Yeah.
if I'm understanding, there are, at least for Tom's rig, 0 actual tube amps. It's all fractal. The whole rig is digital.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
interesting.
Yeah, and same with Mark on stage for bass. It's all digital.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's fine. Like, you know, for a band that plays on ears, I think it would be cool to have amps on stage for a band like Blink. I believe that years ago they bought back amps and cabs. I just don't think it's overly necessary for a 3-piece, especially, and like with Travis Barker being on drums and being such a presence. I think it's really nice to have that control up on stage, and definitely for front of house to be able to just like sit and have everything digitally and place it perfectly. Everything runs through a bunch of Neve gear and it sounds incredible. So by the time it goes through outboard gear with Charlie at front of house, I think it sounds like a real amp, especially for a punk tone. You know, it's not crazy hard to recreate like a JCM 900
Higher
sound.
gain. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you know, Marcus, like, were there any pedals, like, when they went to the amp rigs, were they using much in terms of pedals for the processing or for any sort of, like, boosts or overdrives or anything like that, or was it really just straight amp tone?
Yeah, I think straight amp tone always, yep.
Really? So never any other processing other than that?
Not to my knowledge. Don't quote me on that because I wasn't around, but I
Sure.
believe no pedals, yeah.
And they were doing still triple Rex or dual rectifiers at that point in Marshall cabs, or?
No, I think the last amps Tom used from memory when I had discussion were AC30s.
C30s, okay. He was able to
Yeah.
get those to grind enough for his sound, huh?
Yeah, it surprised me too. I don't know. I wasn't there and I didn't hear them, but yeah, I think in Angels and Airwaves, I believe he went to AC30s around that time. Justin can answer that too because he was there. But yeah, it surprised me. It wouldn't be the amp I would put in front of Tom if I was to pick. But yeah.
And what about in terms of guitar? Is he, he's obviously known for kind of like the single humbucker, like super stripped down, Strat that Fender had done for him. Is that still mostly what's being used, or is there a good variety of instruments that are kind of coming in throughout the night?
No, the entire vault actually is his Fender custom shop. So I don't know if you recall, he had like his Fender kind of thing, and then he went to Gibson and he had those hollow bodies.
That's right. With
and they were
like the stripe,
the racing Strat.
Yeah.
Yeah, single humbucker, I think they were. And then he went back to Fender and they built this Starcaster, which is so sick. It's such a good guitar, so impressive. I said to Justin when I think the first time I picked up was like, this is really good. It's like, it feels a little resonant, a little bit of life to it, but it also kind of feels like a Strat, kind of feels like a Les Paul. It is honestly such a unique guitar and so worthwhile. Even the manufacturer models that were coming out of, I don't think they're made in Vietnam or something. They're really, really good and really well made. I was shocked at how good they are.
Is it this model? I just did a Google. I'm not exactly sure.
That's the.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this the Fender?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that one he's
solid
playing.
Body one, because there used to be like a Strat one, right? That was just.
Yeah, like the single pickup with the single
had
knob.
like a Duncan Invader or some sort
yeah.
of like high gain.
Yeah, and like a tortoiseshell pickup. No, it's that one he's playing there. That's his main one. I think that's the old Gibson one there.
Yeah, he has a bunch of different
wow.
stuff. I mean, I know that there are obviously other guitars, and I remember when he did the Gibson one with they did a release.
Type in Starcaster. They're really cool. They're honestly so unique. And Jeff, who's worked for a really long time with Tom, he's done a lot of the artwork designs on Tom's actual ones. So every single one in the vault has like a unique piece of art, whether it's hand drawn or it's like some of them have been printed, some of them have been painted, similar to Mark's guitars. They've used local artists. Like they're so cool. Yeah, really worth looking into. They got like a oversized Strat headstock.
Very cool.
No lawsuit there.
It seems like this would be something that would be, given that it feels like, or at least in the past, Tom was quite outspoken about things, that he felt were amiss. It'll be interesting to see if there's much in terms of artists. I know that some artists are receiving some pressure to like speak out, if they've got a signature instrument, etc. with Fender. I don't know whether that's going to happen, but
I doubt it will come from Tom. He's off chasing aliens and doing other stuff. So he's a busy guy.
It's a good life, man. Yeah, chase those aliens.
Right.
It's legit, man. I learned a lot about aliens in my time in Blink-182.
Okay, great.
But yeah, it's really cool. The rig's great. The show is amazing. It's super grateful to get the call. It's kind of a good point to raise. I think you mentioned to Grant, like, how did I get the gig? Like, I think for anyone who's starting out as a guitar tech or who wants to become a guitar tech or any kind of touring crew, I guess, for that matter, is like, it really is who you know. Like, it's so important that, if you meet the opening band when you're working for a headliner, like, be nice to the people, be human beings. Like, when I was growing up, it was such a thing, a stigma of like, if you were the opening band, the headliners were going to be assholes to you. The guitar techs especially were like, yeah, you can't set up here. You can't have your little 2x2 space. I need that space for my drinks cooler. And I've made it like a career thing since coming to America, especially every festival, if we're headlining, the second the next band comes in, because, when you headline, you often set up first at 4 a.m. and you big dick, to use that term, you take up as much room as possible. I always wait around for the support bands or the opening bands, and it's like, what do you need? Do you need me to move backwards? Would you like me to, do you want to just take power from me? Be helpful, because half those guitar techs end up being the guys working for, say, Blink-182 and other ones calling you. Like, I don't know Justin, or previously I didn't know Justin, any better than I knew anyone else on Instagram. So like, Justin's, got an amazing reputation. Hopefully I have an okay reputation, and like, that is enough to get you a gig that you really want and really want to do. And it's obviously income and it's a tick of a box. So I think it's a really cool life lesson that when you're starting out, or if you're listening to this and you're 15 years in, it's like, it's really important to make those connections.
It is a recurring theme as well. Any guitar tech I've ever talked to that works with any reputable brand or even touring musician, I'm like, what's the biggest lesson that you've learned or whatever? And that is what everyone says. Is like, you just treat other people like human beings. Don't be a dick. And just, like, you never know how it comes back around to you. But which makes me very happy to hear, because I feel like, in the 80s, 90s, it just didn't seem to be the stories I would hear. Not that I was barely born at that point, but the stories I would hear is that just was not typically the case. And it seems like maybe there's a bit more of a human connection going on here, which is great to hear. And
maybe social media has helped in that, because, I think previously, like a job like guitar teching, like you were a gatekeeper. There wasn't a whole lot of them. It was this obscure thing that no one knew about. And now with social media, it's like we're all encouraged to share and to communicate and to form a community. It's good for your business and your brand. So hopefully that is the reason why people have really chilled out and they've learned that lesson. Don't be a dick.
Well, I think it also probably stems from the artist as well. Like, I think that the reachability of a lot of artists, or at least as far as sort of getting a reality check is much more at an arm's length than it ever was. And I think a lot of times, and you could speak this better than I could, but generally I found that the disposition of a tech crew is often a reflection of their boss, and if the people above them are sort of putting undue pressure or sort of making demands that are sort of beyond the scope of what would ordinarily be called for from a guitar tech, or the way that they manage their relationships, that has a trickle-down effect to the way that then the technicians interact with the union workers, interact with the other bands that are co-headline, either co-headlining or opening or supporting. And so, I think I think there's a certain awareness. I won't name any names, but there's a certain awareness that word travels faster than it ever has if there are, people that are not being cool to the people beneath them. And so I think that's an important element as well. But nevertheless, I mean, just a good piece of professional advice, whatever career path you're on.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree.
Never burn bridges. Yeah, you gotta maintain those relationships. That's for sure. I'm wondering, Marcus, if you could speak to how, when we last talked, you had said that the career path of a technician is like, it was very in demand. I don't know if that was just sort of a rebound from the pandemic, and there wasn't as much touring, and then everybody was going on tour. Are you still finding this to be something where there is a lot of demand for quality technicians? And just thinking of somebody listening to this, because there's a lot of folks that are in sort of the pedalboard building communities, they're sort of learning those skills, and vocational skills like this I think are becoming more and more in demand. Like, no AI bot could do this gig. No. And so just kind of thinking about sort of future proofing, people that are entering the workforce, things like that. I know there's a lot of church musicians and things like that that are getting into this sort of stuff, learning to build. What's kind of the viability at this point in time, and sort of like what kind of career path do you see for somebody that wants to get into this? Could you speak to that?
Yeah, it's we're working on something right now, myself and about 8 other kind of industry, leaders, tour managers, production managers, on helping fix this to some degree. I guess to zoom out, and where this became an issue is that if you used to play in a band, when we all grew up playing in bands and digging bands, you started playing shows at a local pub or bar or whatever it is, right? That goes well. You then get in a van, you go to the next town over, and then the next town over, and the next town over. And then all of a sudden you're doing an East Coast tour in a van, then you're doing a West Coast tour in a van, then you're filling in the country, continues from there. Eventually, a few years later, 5 years later, let's call it, you get to maybe an arena support, then arena headline, it keeps going from there. The whole beginning of that is gone. now with the way that, Live Nation own a bulk of the venues, a lot of music venues that are 500 cap and under don't exist, even 1,000 cap and under don't exist. And because of social media now, bands like, think about like a Benson Boone or someone like that, within, I don't know, 16 months of kind of erupting into fame, he's headlining Coachella. Like those types of career trajectories are more common now than ever. And why that's important to what we're talking about is that your ability to become a tech has gotten harder and harder and harder, because you can't just walk into an arena on your first day and go do a show. Yeah. People are like, we need someone with experience. We need someone who knows how to build this rig. It's like, well, yeah, but where do I get that experience? Like there is no club touring anymore. There's no band who's, willing to take a shot on me because I'm cheap. Like after that Blink-182 video thing happened, I had a whole bunch of people come into my profile and my social media and ask questions like this. And my advice has always been like, well, you want to reach out to a local band. The way I started, at least, is find a local band. My life, if I'm not yet experienced enough to do something, I find a way to put myself in a position where it is valuable to still take me. So if I need X experience, but I've got Y, well then can I change how much I charge a week to gain that experience? And like, maybe I lose money here, but I gain the experience. And then in 2 years' time, now I am the experienced guy who can charge what I want to charge. And that's how I started guitar teching. I worked for free. I think, Grant, we've talked about it. Like, I toured for free for years when I was 14 years old, and 15 years old, and got the experience of tour management and guitar teching. But you need to have those employers who are willing to do that at that level. And those employers are now very few and far between. And that's a huge issue. So to very long story long, yes, there is a huge need for touring crew right now. If you're outside of audio or lighting, like one of the bigger kind of fields that has like education precincts, like Claire Audio or something. If you want to be a guitar tech or a stage manager, or a drum tech or a keys tech or any of those kind of positions, there is a huge need, but it's harder than ever to get started, I think.
The barrier to entry, eh?
Yeah, and that's what we're really working on. And I feel really confident that what, I wish I could kind of go into it now, but we will in a couple of months. And I think where we're at with this program will really change that. And I think, and I hope, I pray that it opens doors for people in the way that, like, I was lucky enough to have doors opened as a kid from Western Sydney. Like, I had no idea how to connect the dots. I knew exactly where I wanted to get to. I'd sit at an arena in Australia and barely watch the band play and just like sit and stare like I was in love with the guitar techs and be like, man, how on earth do I get that job? There is no information on like, hey kid, you want to go tour the world? Here's what you do. Here's your toolbox. Like, it doesn't exist. So the program we've been writing is really great, really helpful, and it connects a lot of the dots. And I think hopefully we solve this problem.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a trade school or something like that that's sort of needed, that gives this sort of job training, and so then you can go out into the world and do it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, some of it's common sense, sure. And if you're a pedal builder, Brian and I joked about it when we were in Vegas. Brian kept saying, I could do this. I could do this. I think he said it 10 times to me. I could really do this. And you could do it. And the truth is, like, all three of you would be the most amazing guitar techs with your knowledge. But then there's this whole aspect of, like, I don't know, tour bus etiquette. How to be on tour, like what time do you get up? What does a lobby call? How do per diems work? Where do you do your washing? Like all these things that like
master tour,
or day sheets now. There's another one. It's like the reliability, artist interaction, pressure. You guys could build rigs better than anyone I know on the road. But then, like, how do you do when there's 80,000 people and something cuts out? Like, how do you test that on a human being until they're in that situation? And hopefully they've been through a situation similar at 1,000 people and then 5,000 people.
Lower stakes, right?
Right, exactly. Yep. So like there's just needs to be a bit of a roadmap. And Claire Audio have done a really great job. They have a school now for if you want to be a touring audio person, whether you want to be an engineer or you want to hang PA, any of the aspects of audio, you can actually go and do a 2-year program now in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, and become a touring person via Claire. and get the kind of vocational training you need, which is cool.
Rock Lidditz.
Rock Lidditz. Once you go, you'll never leave.
It's definitely like adjacent to Amish country. It's kind of its own.
It's music Amish, yeah.
I will say, I will comment when you were talking about what do you do in the pressure. I remember in Vegas when we were together, and I had stayed an extra day just to make sure like the rig like was working, obviously, because for my peace of mind. And I remember like Keith was having. It was before or after, I can't remember, but then with Keith's guitar went like fully out of tune, and he played a solo, and it was like full. Oh, it was before. I think it was before we even changed it. That makes even more sense. And you were trying to figure out, and you had like 5 or 6. I'm just sitting back. I'm just watching, and like a couple different people in there. A couple guys like looking, and you're talking. You're like, give me a second. You're like, you figured it out. And he had a guitar back out to him. I like that kind of stuff under that pressure. It's like watching the one tech who had to change out the Zuma power supply. I can't remember who. I think it was like like seeing that.
Excruciating.
I can feel it in the amount of like I can feel like what they're going. I feel awful, and the fact that you guys have to go through it is crazy. But yeah, I do remember through the whole thing saying like, oh yeah, I could do. I remember saying it. Obviously, I probably sound like a broken record. I was so excited to be there and like just seeing however all of it was. I remember it was the last day I was there. I was eating like popcorn or something, and I think you or one of the guys was like, you have to go, no, you have to take that into the green room. And I was like, why? They're like, Brian doesn't like popcorn. I was like, oh shoot, I didn't know. And the guy's like, you didn't get the list. I was like, I don't know what list you're talking about.
Hates the smell of popcorn.
Exactly. It was like stuff like that. But it was like stuff like that. I was like, I didn't know. And the guy's like, you didn't know you were in the briefing? I was like, I'm only here for a couple days. And they're like, oh, okay.
I wish I made that up and that was a prank, but it's actually true.
Yeah. I thought it was. I thought they were messing, but it was like stuff like that. It was. But I just remember.
You wore a hat. He hates hats.
Every day.
No, you're totally right though. It's like, and there's so much at play that you learn as a tech. It's like, all right, so something breaks, your artist is on stage. It's like, at what point did it break? What is about to happen in the song? So like, it's one thing when something goes wrong to go, okay, cool, I'm going to kill signal and then quickly swap something. But let's say he broke a string. How do the other strings sound? Are they still in tune? Could he do this pivotal part that's about to come up? Maybe it's got like a phaser on it, so the tuning matters less anyway. And it would be worse to miss that one phased, bar of guitar than to have a broken string for another minute. Like, you have to evaluate so many scenarios, plus you have the rest of the crew, everyone, or the tour manager, with his arms folded standing over you going like, what's going on? And it's like, I have to evaluate about 400 things right now. And the best thing you can do is just be calm and focused on your own thing and just explain that you got it. The worst thing you can do is panic and start flicking switches and quickly changing. And, all the while, the most important thing is somehow communicating to your artist that you got it and that you're on it and that they don't need to panic. And like, a great artist will carry on no matter what. I think, Grant, when we talked once, we were talking about, I was doing Crowded House with one of the headliners of Glastonbury, and Neil lost his entire pedal board mid-song. We were just about to start Don't Dream It's Over, that electric guitar line, and the whole thing went down. And like, literally, like, thank God Neil Finn being the pro he is, but I had to run out and be like, can we put the acoustic 3 songs into this section right now, because I'm going to need time. Like, I can't work out what it is. I'd done a few quick kind of elimination checks of like signal flow. Is it this, is it that? And I had identified that the issue was 100% coming from the pedal board, which is center stage in front of 80,000 people at
no redundancy.
We had redundancy, and I'd flipped it already, so that's how I knew it was the pedal board. So when I did flip, I instantly got signal. But the issue is that for Don't Dream It's Over, the only memory man that does that one sound for him is on the main pedal board. So is any other song, I would have been
was
fine.
Was it the memory man?
It wasn't the memory man. It was a patch cable, and it was a patch cable that like had basically just had been pulled out. It was too short in the pedal board build, and so when Neil had stepped on something too hard and slid the pedal up off the Velcro, and it just
popped the cable.
The cable, but nowhere near enough to look like it was out. And it took me 2 songs to realize that's exactly what it was. I had like a tone, like a a line tester on the input, producing tone, and a tuner on the output, so that I could silently test while he was playing acoustic guitar. And it took 2 songs. And I was like,
The longest
"Are
2
you
songs
kidding me?"
ever.
It was a
And you just had to do.
Yeah.
My God.
It was literally that. But that happens, and you have to work out, like, hey, we're headlining Glastonbury. This is live stream, second biggest music live stream in the world. It's like, what are we going to do? So I quickly moved his mic stand to the side, got an acoustic guitar. He carried on. I think he made the crowd chant my name for a solid minute to make me feel awkward and anxious, because he does that, and then got on with stuff, you know?
This is kind of like this is exactly like rig building, except we don't have 80,000 people waiting for us to troubleshoot a board. So
yeah, you should get them.
No, please no. I don't think I can handle this.
Bring it on. Start live streaming everything always.
Oh my God.
Crazy.
Yeah, but that's the kind of pressure that you really hope that someone can ramp up to go full circle. Is like, that stuff you just have to learn. It's a process of elimination. Same with what you guys do, right? It's like the way you build a rig today is probably so different to how you built 10 years ago, and mainly down to you burnt the hell out of your fingers if your cable failed, or something looks cleaner, or less messy.
Well, you learn from mistakes, right? You don't learn really from
always.
You learn
yeah,
from the
my life is
Glastonburys.
a series of mistakes in the right direction.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, Marcus, we're going to break for just a moment to talk about a few sponsors that make the podcast possible. And by way of supporting them, if you're so inclined, you are in turn supporting us. And these are products that we don't just have as sponsors because we like the money, although that is great. These are companies that we actually use their products. And, I can speak from experience, from the mixing of this podcast. Neural DSP is a part of that process. And every single pedal board that we build, I think I speak for everyone when I say Bestronix is sort of the primary resource for anything in terms of pedal board materials, from jacks to switches to cabling and all that stuff is all available there. So we'll break momentarily. We'll come back and continue with Marcus. Marcus, the last question, which I think I'm going to just insert here because I know it'll be a quick one. Somebody in the chat is asking, what's the name of the Claire program that I'm assuming that he's talking about the
audio program?
The Claire program for audio engineers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just through Rock Liditz. I don't know that it has any other name, to be honest, but if you look up Rock Liditz, which is Lititz, it's Liditz, Pennsylvania. They run an education precinct there. I'm not an audio guy, but I've been to Rock Liditz a lot of times with some good friends. They're clients of ours, and they teach you everything like hanging PA and manufacture and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Beautiful. All right. With that said, we'll be right back.
All right, let's talk about the biggest news in the recent guitar world, which ironically comes in a smaller package. The guys over at Neural DSP have released the Quad Cortex Mini. For years, we've been putting the Quad Cortex on pedal boards and racks, and now they have made it a little bit easier for us by shrinking it almost 50% smaller. We're not talking about the light version here. It's the exact same processing muscle and capturing technology, just with that gorgeous 7-inch screen, a couple less foot switches, but still packs a punch. All right, my plugin people, if you utilize these on a daily, this is basically the holy grail of plugins, the John Mayer X plugin. This isn't just a tribute. They went to his house, they captured these amps, and they're giving them to you in this small package that you can take anywhere you want. If you're wanting to upgrade your board or your DAW, head over to Neural DSP right now. Use the code Chairmen to get 30% off all of your plugins.
If you're listening to this episode halfway through building your pedal board, you need to check out Bestronix, also known as BTPA. This is the place to go to get all of the remaining plugs, jacks, cable, maybe even patch bays or looms to help you finish building your rig and building it the right way the first time. Brad at Bestronix is here to help you guys find the right parts for your unique pedal board and to also get you these parts at a discount. Use the code DACHAIRS, DACHAIRS, to get 10% off your order at btpa.com. Tell them the chairman sent you.
All right.
Guys, you are so These ads are so good now. I've got to say, as a custodian of this podcast in my third time here, you have improved, and like this is just so ridiculously good. It's so clean and polished, and you're all so good at your jobs.
Well, that's quite a
Thanks,
compliment.
man.
Well, you
Yeah,
didn't
it
even
is.
hear about the calendars that were going to come. Now I know you're an Australian, so I don't know if this exists
just get started.
in Australia, but in America, it used to be that like New York firefighters would put out a calendar, and they'd have a different firefighter for every month, kind of be the theme. So and sometimes they're scantily clad. So I was thinking, we find a rig
Nice.
builder for each month, draped in cables.
I love this.
And if
Some
it
of
was
us,
July, hottest month of the year, we've got an opening. So we'll put that
You
out.
can request a Polytune Mini or a full size to cover up. It's totally
The
up
mini
to you.
works fine. Mini's good. Yeah, a clip-on.
That's what I chose as well.
Clip-on tuner.
I just need a Tortex pick. Thanks.
I hate waste. I hate wastage. Just a clip-on is fine.
So
Yeah, I'm in. I'm so in.
so does that mean we get a what are they calling you, Zaddy 182? Was that it? We're gonna have
That's what the internet has been deemed for a little while. Yep. The internet takes what the internet wants. So here we are.
I do have to ask.
Undefeated,
I do have to
right?
ask about that. How did Tom and them? I know in the video like they messed with you in it. How did they? How long did that?
upstaged.
Yeah.
Can you give some
How- yeah.
backstory as well? Give some backstory.
Now,
to
I
this.
can play the video. There's just no sound.
Yeah. Let's just Brian, if you can pull it up, because I think this will be contextually appropriate.
I'll be fine. I think I accidentally
We
pulled
went
it
from
up.
education to
Oh,
this.
no,
How did this happen?
Hey, this is the clickbait part of the episode where we have to play it, right? Now let me.
That's a good point.
Let me see. I tried pulling it up, but I guess I accidentally. I showed it.
This seemed like it would have been the obvious parlay into your
Oh,
OnlyFans,
yeah.
Marcus.
Okay.
It
Fair.
seems like a lost
Very true.
Hey
opportunity
man,
there.
look, I'd be lying if I didn't say I thought about it. Retire on a beach somewhere and take photos of my feet. Yeah, man.
And your Polytune.
So,
And my colleagues. That's an endorsement.
Clip-on
Show it.
Polytune.
so this was the video I remember seeing, which was funny because I didn't think it was gonna be you, and I was like, wait, I know that guy, and then obviously that's the flip pedal that you were talking about, the thing.
Yep. Yeah. See, this is educational. Just looking at the
Yeah.
gear. Yep.
But I gotta ask, like, that, like, the fact that, like, what did you do when that you saw that? Like, were you just? 'Cause I would be like, what? I gotta say, your wife interaction. We talked about this was hilarious. So I can't even imagine what your whole thing was about it.
I had literally no clue. I'm relatively active on social media, but I don't have TikTok or anything too fancy. And my wife was calling me. I think it was during a show. She called me a few times, and so after the show, I called her, and she's like, "Have you seen your phone?" I was like, "No, it's in airplane mode because during the show I normally have it off." And she was like, "You should check this out." And I think at that point, this video of me at a Blink show had maybe 80,000 views or something, which is a lot. And I was like, wow, that's so really so strange. And she was like, yeah, I'm in the comments, like I'm having the time of my life, all these women. So I hadn't been tagged. So it came up on Discovery for her, and that's why I hadn't seen it. And so I still wasn't tagged. So she was in the comments just kind of rallying people up, when women, predominantly women had commented something about it. She was like, her and her friends were on it straight away, like, hell yeah, we're sisters and, all this kind of stuff. And anyway, it just kind of became a thing. I was like, this makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm not going to touch it or comment or anything. And so I didn't. And then, a day later, Shawnee was like, my wife was like, I think it's at 500,000 views. I'm like, how is that possible? This doesn't make any sense. And, fast forward to today, it's it just kept going and going. And I think it's just short of 4 million views. And it's so funny because eventually I was tagged, and eventually, I started commenting and stuff because it was really sweet. It was the woman who made it. My wife reached out to her, and she seems amazing. She was going through a bit of a hard time, so I hope she made money from the video with that many views. And she was really sweet and excited that she'd gone viral. She made the video; it's got nothing to do with me. And And
a little bit to do
Well,
well, I was just packing up a rig. Like, she chose like the viral audio and stuff. It was really cool. And I guess like after a couple of days, it had popped up on a few people on the Blink, because obviously, the way Meta and TikTok work, if you engage with something like, you say the word mop, you all of a sudden have 400 ads for every mop on earth. So some of the Blink crew started getting it before, it had been tagged to me. And then I think it kind of like went around the Blink camp, and someone showed Travis, and then someone showed Mark, and then someone showed Tom. And then, Blink are such shitsters, like, with no ammunition, they will create a shitstorm, let alone with ammunition. So Mark and Tom thought it was the funniest thing in the world, and really, like, I think Tom reposted it, and then it started really taking off. And then it kind of became, even with Justin, like every night Justin comes on stage, they call him Jesus, and they, they really enjoy it. It's Tom's way of taking a break often. If he's like, I'm not going into the next song, I need a minute, he'll start giving shit to Justin or someone on stage or Diaz. And so it definitely became ammunition, and really became a thing for a hot minute, which is funny. So yeah,
the thing that really makes me sick as a fellow male is how women can just objectify you, and
dude, there was literally a guy in the comments, no joke, I'm sure if you scroll through you'll
Finally
see it,
a man.
This poor guy who really doesn't know how to read the world, came in and was like, you women make me sick. This man has a wife. And my wife was like, fuck you, man. Like, straight into this. No man could ever call out a bunch of women for being like appropriately
It would be a
creepy,
mistake. Yes.
Yeah,
it would be a mistake.
This poor guy, like, it was like overnight 900 comments of the women just like being like, what's your address? We're going to beat you up,
Oh.
So, yeah, funny.
Oh my god.
Well, it's good
Pretty
to
hilarious.
see you take it in stride. That's awesome.
It's so funny, man. And, like, these are all weird stories. It happened once before with Stevie Nicks. Like, I'd run on stage with Stevie because her hand was stuck in her cape, or the cape was stuck in her jewelry. And for whatever reason in that moment, the only way I could get this little knot undone is by using my teeth. I couldn't grab it. And for whatever reason, at that point in time, in front of however many people, here's me. It looks like I'm sucking on Stevie's finger on stage. And Stevie has a hilarious reaction to it. And so, like, that had gone viral once before. And then, weirdly enough, like, in that same week, when I was a guitar player, Grant and I grew up in Australia, I was a guitar player for Popstars. And there's a video of me playing guitar, I think on Hamish and Andy, Grant, like a radio station show in Australia.
My favorite podcast.
Yeah, I was playing guitar with that British girl band, Little Mix. I don't know if you remember them. And Hamish and Andy had done this thing, the host, where instead of microphone stands, they got fans in wearing helmets with microphones attached to their helmets. So the fans had to like kneel down in front. And that video started going viral the same week at the same time. And so it was really weird. It was like I was getting texts from like family and friends and stuff being like, can you get out of this like discovery mode in my phone? Like it was just popping up in random ways. I don't know if it's like the algorithm clicking over, but it was a fun and weird 2 weeks, and now I'm back to being a little hermit crab.
Yeah, after being on the road for so long, now you can finally enjoy LA again, right?
Nobody's come up to you in public and said, "Are you the Blink-182 guy?"
A few people, actually. It happened in Palm Springs. I also went to the very last Blink show, which Justin ended up doing, not me. It was a couple of weeks later, and it was a fun experience as well. It's so sweet. They're such a great... I mean, like we were saying earlier, so many people grew up with them. Their fan base is just the best bunch of people, and people that I grew up with. Like that is my world. So it was really cool to get to spend some more time with those people and get a little bit more connection.
Nice.
I love
Yeah.
that.
So
and
cool.
So going from like doing guitar teching, because we were talking briefly about it before, you're now, you're managing podcast tours, right?
Yeah, we have a creative company. We kind of always, I've always done something as well as guitar teching. Like I've always been a tour manager or a production manager or a guitar tech, and gone in between. It used to be something that like I thought was a weakness, like not, I've had mentors be like, you've got to zone in on a thing, and now I kind of realize it's my strength. Like if I'm not getting guitar tech work, I have tour management work or production management work or whatever. And so one of those things that I used to do in Australia was a music director and a creative director when I worked on the X Factor. And I just randomly came up about 2 years ago in America that podcasts started touring. And a few of the podcasts that we initially had worked with, we just didn't want to do like, a podcast live on stage, sitting on a couch interviewing someone. So I kind of came in and pitched this concept of creating a show around how the podcast came to be, almost like a mix of music and theater and podcasting. And it went really well. And since then, it's kind of snowballed. I mean, everyone is touring. So like we just finished the second tour with Mel Robbins. We sold out everything. We do My Favorite Murder. We do Call Her Daddy. So we've kind of created these shows. And the cool thing is like we get to hire people like fellow guitar techs and stage managers and production managers from music. So like podcast touring is exponentially easier generally. And it's a nice like in between. So people who finish world tours with a band will come to us and do these like 6-week tours on a podcast tour and fill in the gaps. So we've managed to kind of employ a bunch of our friends, which is cool.
That's fun.
Such a cool idea.
And do you do the bookings too, Marcus, or no, somebody else is doing
No,
it?
so yeah, an agency still handles it. So a lot of these podcasts, this might be relevant to you guys pretty soon if you want to go on the road. Like a lot of these podcasts are repped by agencies, and honestly, they're doing better business in a lot of ways than music. If you remove the upper echelon of like, arena, stadium acts, podcasts are by far, or they call it non-traditional entertainment, that category is beginning to outsell music. So comedians, lifestyle podcasts, all that kind of stuff. It's really interesting. It's a whole new world. And again, coming into the education aspect, if you're trying to get into guitar teching or whatever, it's like just keep your bag stacked of tricks. I think like understanding one thing is great, but having a really great, you better at your one thing or open up doors to multiple things.
Yeah.
And you need that.
I mean, to be honest, we could probably fill an arena just for everyone could see Grant's beard because it's
it's the most beautiful, luxurious beard
it's
on
beard.
the internet.
It's beautiful.
He goes to Rock Lidditz. They'll be like, "Who's the Amish tone guy?"
Yeah, exactly.
Is that February from the calendar?
Just out in the dairy field with only a polytune.
So it all kind of comes back around. But yeah, it's cool. It's nice because with music touring, I'm not crazy young anymore. This is my 24th year of touring now.
But you started at 14.
Yeah, I started very young, but I feel very old. And, I want to tour less and less. Like we were saying before we started recording, like I like to be able to pick the tours I want to go on now. I don't want to ever... I don't want to say I had a run of, but I definitely got to a point with touring where I was coming home from certain tours being like, I didn't have fun. Maybe it wasn't my genre of music or... like I want to love the band that I work for. Like I could listen to Fleetwood Mac every day of the week and I don't get sick of it. Or watching Mick Fleetwood drum or something, or Travis Barker. Like I don't get sick of it, truly. That I worked with, maybe personality-wise we didn't mesh, or musically it didn't mesh. And so by having these other options of touring and creativity, it's meant that I can kind of a little bit more curate when I go out on the road as a tour manager or when I go out on the road as a guitar tech. And it's led to just such a high level of happiness in my career for me. I've always said I think that the greatest currency is choice, and I've been very lucky to be in a lifestyle right now where I have a little bit more of it. So it's cool.
That's awesome.
When Chairman of the Boards goes on tour, hopefully we can convince you to...
I would love that. No convincing. I'm in. You guys should do it. I mean, honestly, I know you've done like bits and pieces of live stuff between all of you, but like, yeah, it really is a huge category. And you know what's really cool about it is, and I'm not trying to sell you on our company or this industry, but like what's cool about it is in a world where the internet pulls people out of real life and puts you more on your phone, tours like that and podcasts and what you guys are doing here creates real life community. And I find such value in it. Like when I work on a tour and I go to a show and I see a room full of people that like the same thing, hanging out and meeting each other. It like truly tops up my bucket of like, you know, life happiness. Like you guys are bringing together people who adore music and adore gear and touring, and you're putting them in one place and giving them like a platform to meet each other. And it's so powerful. And like, I really do take my hat off to what you guys are doing, because it's, you know, it can be a slog, I'm sure. And it's like, you're taking time out of your busy companies to do it. It's so important. It's really, really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, we'll have to figure out how we're going to position it. I think we should, you know, we'll start with churches and call them tone baptisms.
There you
People
go.
will come in.
Yes.
They'll get blessed by Brian with
Pull the bad tone out of
Starbucks
someone.
water,
Yeah.
triple filtered.
No, I think it's going to
we
be,
can
you're
do
going to spray him with
triple filtered water.
deoxit. You're going to spray him with deoxit. That's going to be the holy water here.
Deoxit. It's definitely deoxit.
So some
Lemon oil and deoxit mixed
it'll
together.
be like mace, you know.
It stings. That means it's working.
That is the devil of the bad amp coming out of you. Yeah.
There you go.
It's amazing.
Planned.
Amazing.
Sorted.
Well, Marcus, I can't thank you enough for joining us, and as you predicted, it was a varied conversation that took many different avenues. But at least in the chat here, we're seeing that a lot of people have found this useful. In fact, there was an individual that talked about how they've just been in the touring world and they've kind of gotten thrown into the deep end. So I think that there's some things that are already resonating with the audience on that front.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thank you so much again for being here, Brian and Grant. Any sort of final questions or thoughts from Marcus before we let him return to his day?
Only if this is a quick question. This is one that I really wanted to ask. So I already set you up before from previous episodes of you prepare for everything. We talked a bit about Tom's rig, the rack, the fractals, all this. On this last tour that you were on with them, were there any issues? Like, did you have to go to a redundancy at any point, or was it pretty smooth sailing?
Nothing. Knock on.
Oh, awesome.
Physically
Well done,
knocking
man.
it. I mean, that's hats off to Justin's rig and the crew. I mean, it's such good audio guys. Like Ray on monitors is insane. Like everyone is so good at their job in that crew, and that's a big deal because you know you're only as good as your weakest link in a rig. Like we always talk about patching and other people's cables and whatever. Yeah, no major issues, which is really cool. It's a really straightforward rig, and there aren't any of those scenarios where, like, you know, with Keith Scott, it's like a weird tuning or a certain guitar that does one thing. You know, there is a lot of E standard guitars, and, you know, I think you could give Tom any guitar and he'd be like, this is cool. It's got strings. I can do this. Yeah, no major rigs. And yeah, like, I hate to sound like a broken record, but like, as far as advice to like every player, it's like, you have to sit and physically create problems when you have time in rehearsal or something to know how to deal with it when it happens. It's like how pilots train for a crash or, you know, air hostesses train to have to do that. It sounds so dumb, but like on the Blink rig, I literally did that. I didn't build that rack, and like there was no way of me. I mean, Brian, we went through it. Remember when we rebuilt the Brian Adams rig? Like we had no idea where each cable goes. It was like a bird's nest, and you know, it made sense to someone, but it wasn't us.
Not us.
So like go through and pull a cable, any cable. It doesn't matter what it is, and then work out what you just broke and how to fix it real quick, and then label it the way that you know. So like add, you know, if it's a temporary label or a proper label, label it so that it makes sense to you. And that's like for a tiny club level band, do the same thing. Like what happens if you have a band I manage has pedal wirelesses, you know, the Shaw ones that go on the board. It's like, what happens when that goes down? Do you have an AB pedal? Do you have a cable there? Like, where do you plug into? Does the cable fit where you need to plug in? Or have you built the pedal board so that only a square jack fits? Because like, that's going to be a solid minute of you ripping off a board, you know? Think about just everything bad. Don't think about good.
Love it.
Embrace the negative.
Embrace the mistakes.
Just find a friend that really wants to mess with it and have him mess something up and then go and look at it. Like
Here's some wire cutters. Go crazy.
This is it. I mean, this is the next show, Marcus. It's the rig builders Hunger Games, and you just like set up like these nightmare rigs, and they have to troubleshoot them. And
it's like
it's like a Korean game show. Like you're all going to be in jumpsuits with blindfolds.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
right.
I'm into it. And one of you must die.
Oh
yeah.
Oh
yeah. Sorry.
Death by tone.
Yep, death by tone. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's been such a pleasure. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I don't.
Thank you. So
I don't
much.
have any questions. I guess just keep us updated on when that course comes out. There was a couple people in a couple of the chats asking for more information when it happens. So I'm excited to see it. You know, it'd be great to pass it on to people.
And honestly, like, feel free. This might sound like something someone just says, but I truly like. I'd say the bulk of my Instagram is people asking questions about touring, and I do genuinely write back to every single one. And if I can connect someone with a mentor or, you know, a piece of advice, I'm so happy. I'm literally sitting in front of you because of the kindness of not only you three, but, you know, everyone I've met along the way. So I truly want to give back in every way, shape, and form. So feel free to
your
send me questions.
Instagram handle, if anyone wants it, is Marcus_Benito, correct? Benito, and
Correct.
people can find you there.
Yep.
And yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for the third time, man. 9 more times and you get your plaque. I can't wait for that day. It's gonna be
Love
worth
that.
it.
No, I think it's 10. Baker's dozen 13. Grant, you fool.
But isn't this the third time?
This is the third. Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, fuck,
Yeah.
This is why I'm bad at math.
See?
No,
I've got
you should have been a
man.
baker if you're bad at math.
I'm still confused if it's 12 or 13, but I'll see you there.
All right.
Just tell me.
Can't wait.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Later, dudes.